anything the perceived was like mal titwokala dakas ito achieving PICRC has shown us it was like of course a lot of factors come into play to make that a possibility, but the fact that it's here, it's successful, is a bright beacon for a future of Palau.
The Palau International Coral Reef Center rose out of a need for a research facility in the Pacific region to strengthen and support international coral reef research. With backing from the United States and Japan government, in 1998, Palau passed the Palau International Coral Reef Center Act, and construction on the center began. In 2001, the center opened its doors to the public. 20 years have passed since that time, and PICRC has made its mark on the international, regional, and local community. This is the story of how PICRC has been the catalyst to create a whole generation of scientific and conservation professionals, and how they in turn have used their skills for the betterment of the community in Palau.
Nga kaplika sa puro naka-order Palau International Coral Reef Center nga sel aquarium department.
Nga ka Charlene Mersay, ak courier National Government National Environment Coordinator nga Eugela Ministry of Finance.
Okay, so my name is David Edith Jr. and I'm the Senior GIS Analyst at the Palau Automated Land and Resource Information System, which you probably don't know, but it's actually Polaris.
My name is Lucas Isaan. I work now as the Applied Scientist for the Ministry of Natural Resources, Environment and Tourism.
I'm Steven Victor, and I'm currently the Director of the Nature Conservancy Micronesia Program.
Start Lawyer Aquarium
Start Lawyer PICRC 2006.
Me and I guess Lolita Penland were the first researchers here at PICRC, so I started in 2000.
I started working at PICRC around 2008.
I started working at PICRC in February 2002.
Sila ko open Blair for business, sa kamaman aquarista. Mlanya training di milay. Yung lo visitor ako na wagi aquarium na Hawaii bibirap to aquarium nangarap na siyaban.
Ako na PICRC from 2006 and more 2008. During that period, I would say training of PICRC received the Miramango component, and it was a lot. So, summer training at Shabala help in terms of the ecological and biological training.
Actually, I guess one of the things when we were here, said PICRC was still new, we were still learning a lot of things. So actually, a lot of the researchers that came here actually provided a lot of, I guess, in terms of capacity building for us, in terms of knowledge and stuff, like passing on things.
I lived and grew up and went to school here, but I didn't see Palau from the perspective of a scientist. And then, of course, there's the working part, which you learn to do science in a rigorous way. You get to work with very top-notch scientists around the world who are leading their fields. And I think that was the most impressive part of working for PICRC. You get to see where you grew up in a very different light.
So while being employed at Palau International Coral Reefs for 7 years, I got exposed to both research as well as managing team. So those are some of the capacity in terms of science and communicating science that really helped set my career into conservation.
As a national institution, national level institution, katamdas ba international support, but local communities support rin. Especially when I was doing the NPA, involved our NPA work, we would go to the communities, passion, also expectations, and then PICRC was working hard to make sure to provide the information as requested by the communities.
So the last thing, Tialblay para the community, at makalurol, kakatkak prawdos sulgirela, umlisiel, malibang mamut maklela, galtora, omorium rakanikan abulbelaw.
I also learned how to use research to communicate with communities, particularly in using science and data that we gathered from doing sediment studies affecting mangroves, seagrass, and coral reefs.
There were numerous initiatives that came out of the work at PICRC. So there was the creation of the Babadab Watershed Alliance. There was a lot more discussion locally about trying to contain sediment from going onto the reef.
A lot of people may not know is that we actually started this coral reef monitoring program. Me, Lolita, with Rob Van Mozik, we actually started this program with a few sites, and then I'm glad to see that it's expanded, and it's been there for at least, 2020, so at least for the last 20 years. So that's something I'm kind of, I guess, proud of being part of.
1998, when I was working at PCS, the builder of PICRC, the location, staffing, organizational chart, and I'm sitting in the room and learning some part about Palauan researchers, and having majored in the sciences, biology. Coming out of that major, limited with a science background. Today, it's like researchers on Belau is no longer the big issue. If I were to pick one significant impact that PICRC and Belau in the last 20 years, I would say that it presented hope, belief, and of course opportunities in Murangal Belau Wase.
I'm really happy to see that the staffing at the Palau International Coral Reef Center is made of mainly Palauans, and I'd like to especially note that there are a lot of young women Palauans who are now researchers, who are now educators within PICRC, and who are now running programs within the Palau International Coral Reef Center.
I guess one of the biggest things I see about, I guess what PICRC has done in the last 20 years is, I remember when we first got here, we relied on a lot of these outside researchers to sort of guide us and help us with information and provide information.
Ako kasi sa Untitled Center, yung korawable mitutat ko arwa survey sa conservation of Belau.
But what I see now is actually PICRC is providing that information and supporting outside researchers coming in. So a lot of it's like, so you see a lot of the students coming in. So actually that role has somewhat reversed.
So ito kasi mlas bisi malibang mugto ko mal makatakla at tele aurora to science. I would say for the past 10 years, sa center am established sa korawal kasi scientific what's the word I'm looking for? Scientific authority.
So I think PICRC has actually become that center of excellence that we've always talked about, like 20 years ago.
I think the most important impact that PICRC has had on Palau is the same impact that it's had on me, on a number of people, Palauan people. I think it's inspired passion for the reef and the ocean and the environment in general. In Palauans who grew up, were born here and grew up here, who sort of, if they didn't come across the work PICRC does, would take their home island for granted.
Making people understand and appreciate science more than what we've had in the past. We used to be afraid of science. Now I think it's much more mainstream into the education in terms of learning about the environment. It's being mainstream into policy development in terms of decision makers needing and able to access science information that they can understand. So I think that has been the greatest success that PICRC has contributed to Palau and the migration region.
So I think if I had to pick between the what the work that we have done and the people, I would pick the people, because I think contribution to capacity building and learning for the different plots is one of our most important contributions. The idea that the Palauan people and Palauans can be researchers and can work at a place like the center and can contribute knowledge to the global science community just like any other people. I think in the beginning we didn't think that we were able to do that, and now we've shown time and time again that we can do that. So many people have come and worked at the center, and some have left and moved on, and they're still contributing to the different places that they're working at. We have former researchers here that now work for Congress. Some are working, heading different offices and agencies, and even heading regional programs like international NGOs. So I think if I had to pick one, while there are many things, I think the impact on people and knowledge and capacity building for Palauans, I think would be one of the most important things that I think the center has done in 20 years.